Just come back to find out that Braylon guilty and Damon crazy. Girl, y'all could have wrote this up in an email. Y'all could have just put this, like, girl, this was not. Anyway, so it was not. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Belle and this is the Belle Perspective, and today we're talking about the final episode of Reasonable Doubt. Now, I watched the episode a couple weeks ago, actually prior to the holiday, but baby, I was sick. I had gotten into I went to the urgent care for Thanksgiving because I had this cough. I was fatigued. Not sure what was happening, but anyway, so I watched the show like probably maybe a week or two before the holiday, and so hopefully you guys had a great holiday. Mine was interesting. Hopefully we can try again for Christmas and do a redo. Okay. Anyway, Braylon was guilty the whole time. And I was thinking to myself, damn, they got us. They went all around the world just to come back to tell us that Braylon really was guilty. Come to find out, he actually really did kill Kalisha. So in the beginning of the final episode, I think it was episode 9, they showed a reenactment of actually what really took place, and they showed her interacting with Braylon. Kalisha interacting with Braylon. Braylon asked her to sign the NDA. She signed it. He went back into his car, looked at the NDA, and it said kiss my ass on there, right? Kiss my right? So he goes back into the house, but before he goes back into the house and before he realizes that she didn't actually sign it, white dude, which I can't remember his name, he goes in there and basically says, I know that you've been pretty much a thorn in my side. And she's basically been saying, listen, I know that you have been skimming money off the company, right? I know that you've been stealing and have not been handling the books properly. And he says, if this information gets out, it's gonna be you. And she basically was like, boy, get out of my house, right? So then this is around the same time Braylon's in his car. He's looking, he goes looked at the NDA. He finds out that she didn't really truly sign it. She told him, she wrote kiss my ass on there, and he goes back in. They struggling, fighting. He didn't her with a glass stem. I was like, oh my God, this fool really did go back and kill this lady. He really did go back and off her. That is crazy. The person who committed the crime was that they checked the handwriting against the signature of the NDA against a holiday card that he wrote. And I'm like, why did y'all not do that in the beginning? Y'all took us all the way around the world just to come to this. I was like, y'all should have been checked the signature. I would have checked the signature. I'd be like, let's before we clear him, make sure just check the signatures. Let's just check now before we decide to take on his case, because I don't have time to be taking on no guilty person. That's what I would have done. Okay, I'm like, what? Y'all just not checking his signature? Y'all just not? But anyway, whatever. So whatever. So then, So what's her name actually ends up confronting him, basically says, I know that you're the one that did it. We checked, and he was like, how did you find out that I was the one that did it? How did you know? He was like, you and I are, he's basically being weird and creepy. He was like, you and I are the same person. We go after the things that we want. I'm like, sir, he was just being entirely too creepy. And she was entirely too comfortable around him after she found out. And he actually openly admitted that he had that girl. I was like, no ma'am. Okay. Her being bound and gagged by this person, and we're like, okay, who's gonna kidnap her? At first you think that it's gonna be Braylon, right? But after you find out that he's the one that actually Kalisha, you come to find out it's Damon. I was like, we went around the world to come right back to this. We went around the world just to come right back to this. Sorry, y'all. I just got a text message. And I just want to check it real quick. Make sure. Oh, okay. We went around the world just come back to find out that Braylon guilty and Damon crazy. Girl, y'all could have wrote this up in an email. Y'all could have just put this, like, girl, this was not. Anyway, so it was not giving what you thought it was supposed to give. So Jax decides that she's gonna stick around with her husband. She's just after Damon has blown up, beat up people, done crazy stuff. You could basically pretty much see that he's unhinged. I mean, he spent like 16 years in prison, girl. Really, okay? So she goes and she decides that she's gonna pretty much commit her life to her husband and go back and try to work on their marriage, pretty much go back and work on their relationship. And she goes and tells Damon he don't like that. He ain't here for it. So the next thing you know, she ends up getting into a car accident coming from, now this is after she's argued the trial with Braylon. Braylon actually gets off because of her arguments. And I'm thinking to myself, how sickening do you have to feel to your stomach to allow someone to this is before. Let me flip up. I'm getting things out of order. Sorry, y'all, I hadn't seen it in a couple weeks. So she ends up, after confronting Braylon and finding out, telling him that she knows that he's the one that actually burnt Kalisha, she ends up meeting with Damon, telling Damon, hey, this is what's going on. I'm gonna be back with my husband. She's driving home, and I know I'm skipping some parts. She ends up getting into a car accident. The next thing you know, she's missing. The phone is still there, the car is still there, but she's not able to be found. Somewhere sprinkled throughout there, she was able to talk to Lewis, her husband, and confide in him and tell him that her stepfather was basically trying to groom her to basically be a pedophile. Okay, so Lewis didn't take it well. He was like, oh my God, you had this man around our daughter, but they finally kind of like just found common ground and were able to, he was finally able to, like, okay, this is not about me, let's work through this with Jack. So anyway, come to find out, Damon is the one that takes her from her car, straps her to this chair in the bottom of the basement, down in the shop that he works at, which, by the way, his brother pretty much fired him, told him to get out because his brother felt like he was putting a woman and other things over his family. Brother fired him. So he takes her down to the bottom in the cellar or something like that, in a basement of the shop that he was working at with his brother, straps her up, duct tapes her mouth, does all these things, and pulls a gun out. And it's like, listen, you did all these things, you play with my heart, you play with all this blah blah blah, so you gonna have to basically go. Lewis shows up he finds out who Damon is because Lewis goes to talk to Chanel, which is one of her friends. Finds out who Damon is, find out where he's working at. He goes to Damon, he goes to the shop. Damon says, listen, I ain't seen Jackson forever. I don't know where she's at. I'm about to leave here. You could go. Lewis sticks around the office. Lewis sticks around the shop and kind of like peeps it out. Damon never leaves, so he feels like, okay, maybe Damon has something to do with this because he said he was going to be leaving, but he never did, right? He never really leaves the shop. So Lewis ends up calling the cops. They bust in. They're able to get Jax. Before the cops are able to pull up and get Jax, Damon puts a gun to his head and, right? I'm like, right in front of Jax. I'm like, girl, he was not stable. Michael Ealy don't never play no stable man. Like, in every movie, in every show, in every clip, Michael Ealy always plans the man that's unhinged. And I'm just so used to him being the unhinged man that anytime he shows up in a TV show or movie, I'm like, oh, okay, he gonna be crazy. He just gonna be crazy. Like, that's just how I processed all of Michael Ealy's character. So I don't understand how she even started fooling up with him. I really don't. Okay. So anyway, long story short, Braylon was the murderer and Damon is crazy. And we went all the way around the world all the way around the world to get to that part. And I'm just like, okay, well, it was good to see black people on TV. They were shot very well. It was, I'll give it that. The writing was a little cringeworthy, but you know, it was something. It was something. It was black people on TV, y'all. It was black people on TV. So anyway, there's a new show called Prime, or maybe it's on Amazon Prime. It's called Prize Standard. I don't remember what it's called, but it's got black people in there too. So we'll see. I might watch it. I might not. I don't know. I'm trying to find some new shows to watch because there's really not been anything. And I'm not trying to watch Real Housewives of Potomac. The colorism on there is real, and I don't have time to be getting all upset, but I might get into it. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the final episode of Reasonable Doubt. If you made it this far in this video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button to be a part of this growing channel, and I really appreciate you for doing so. Get down and hit that like button for me, and get in the comments and let me know what you think about the episode. Let me know what you think about the final. I mean, I'm telling you, baby, they went all the way around the world. We had 9 episodes just to find out that Braylon really was guilty and Damon was crazy. Like, girl, like, what? Why? I mean, I guess it was cool because there was times where I was just like, maybe Braylon didn't do it, maybe Braylon didn't. But the fact that they didn't check the NDA up against his handwriting, up against her handwriting, I was like, that was kind of, they just took his word for it. Like, he has every incentive to say that she signed the NDA. Like, that's kind of, y'all just took his word for it. Okay. Anyway, that's my hot take. That's all I got to say. I will talk to y'all later. Take care.